Today we are going to start off with the foundation of this podcast, and what should be a part of your foundation of your craft. Today we talk about embracing individuality in your craft. Merry meet, I'm Red Moon, and this is Invoking Individuality, a witchcraft podcast. Individuality. What is it? According to the Oxford Dictionary, individuality is defined as the qualities that make somebody or something different from other people or things. I personally love the idea and practice of individuality, so much as I embrace individuality in all avenues of my life. It kind of makes sense if you look at a photo of me and my family together. I'm always the goth one. I'm not saying because my family members dress in a normal, conforming to society way, they're not their own individuals. I'm just saying I'm loud about my individuality, and I'm not ashamed to look like a complete cryptid among a sea of normalcy. Now, fashion choice talk aside, what does individuality mean in your craft? In my opinion, it means literally everything. In fact, it's the most important thing for you to connect to your own craft. What inspired me to make individuality a primary focus on this podcast is because of my own journey through witchcraft and my spiritual path, and because I feel it's important for beginners to this craft to hear this. You see, I am neurodivergent, and if you know anything about neurodivergent brains, we hyperfixate on if we're doing a task right. Also, in certain aspects, we take things literally and by the book. And I feel like some of the language in the earlier books that I was reading had language almost saying, you have to do this ritual in a certain format, or you have to do X, Y, and Z, or else you are not doing it right. That's not verbatim, but it's kind of what I remember feeling while I was reading. It's very understandable in my opinion, being that some people, like me, are seeking a new path that fits them, and a lot like me come to witchcraft after being a part of some kind of organized religion, where their rituals are solemn and neat. So that's what some people may think religion and spirituality must be like. Some of those organized religions don't promote individuality, but full-blown conformity. I'm not saying you can't be a witch or an individual and be a part of an organized religion, but in my case, for context, in my situation, I identified as a Wiccan and a witch at the time. It wasn't until I saw another fellow witch online on YouTube doing a full ritual in her video that I understood that this path does not have to be tight-knit and by the book. That witch, though I forgot her name, changed the trajectory of my path forever. Her freedom to improv her words, not being afraid to laugh, and having an energy that I had never seen expressed in a spiritual-based setting. It inspired me to start going against the grain on what the books formatted for the reader. I started writing my own rituals, and eventually I started to just do solitary rituals without them even being written. Ever since then, and doing off-the-cuff rituals have been my favorite. It's my flow, it's my energy, and my freedom to perform my rituals however I see fit at the time. Honestly, now I only write rituals if I'm doing a group ritual with my other magical friends, or if I'm doing ritual work that needs a heavy-duty focus. I also do want to note that I always write and plan spell work, but yeah, that was the key to starting my individual path. Furthermore, because of the rise of social media witches, I feel it is important to talk about individuality. I noticed a pattern among primarily the TikTok witches of witch talk. I noticed that there's a certain type of witch talker. It's the witch talker that is a human being and not a book, that in fact is telling people that you're practicing your craft wrong, and that their way of doing witchcraft is the right way to do it. I just want to preface this by saying unless you are doing some sort of cultural appropriation bullshit, and unless you are not educating yourself on the type of power you are working with, and unless you are not doing love or sex spells on people that don't consent, you are not practicing your craft wrong. This podcast is against cultural appropriation and creepy non-consensual love and sex spells, by the way. Stay in your lane and don't be a bad and creepy witch. Also, I see people saying, this is how you must connect with your deity or spirit guide or any other entity you're working with. And to be honest, that is not right. However you connect to your deity or spirit guide is 100% valid. How you connect to them is up to you. you, the individual practitioner. If you are not connecting to them in a way that is authentic to you, you are not going to find comfort in what you are connecting with. Individual thought is instrumental to your deity worship and connecting with your spirit guides. At the end of the day, think about your relationship with the people around you. You won't have the same relationship with, say, a friend of yours as one of their friends have with them. Why? Because you're an individual, and you deserve to be in all avenues of your life, including spiritual. Individuality also comes along to what you label your path, whether you want to have a label on your path or not. I mean, witchcraft is a vast path that has so much to offer. You can be a non-theistic witch, and that's valid. Or if you use theistic view on your path, there are so many different ways to express that way. Whether you're a Wiccan, a pagan, a Satanist, Luciferian, Christian, Jewish, or under another path, that's valid. And it's valid to combine two things if it makes sense in your own individual path. For example, I'm a Satanic Pagan. I work with infernal entities, Satan, Baphomet, whilst worshipping the earth at the same time and also working with Gaia and Hecate. So Satanic Paganism made sense to me, and I'm happier now that I have my own individual path that made sense to me. My best friend, who is also a magical practitioner of over a decade, said it best. She said one of the best kind of spiritualists are spiritualists who have their own personal lore on how they came to be and what they're here to do. What she said is true. If your spirituality isn't personal, individual, and unique to you, it's not going to be as effective as you'd want it to be. Because if you're picking on somebody else's regurgitated path to the letter, it lacks your own energy and thought. So get out there, learn what applies to you, become the witch you are destined to be, and embrace your individuality in your craft. Thanks for listening. If you want to know where you can find me, links are in the episode show notes. For inquiries or to submit a topic you'd like to hear about, please email me at embracingindividuality@gmail.com. Ave Satanas, blessed be, until we meet again.